Sometimes Granny's house remains empty. When you're a prisoner, sometimes Granny leaves you alone at home. But where does Granny go? She goes to the grandpa with her car. But why? How does she know him? Granny had gone to Grandpa to deliver the diary of Slenderina, in which all her history was kept. In fact, the house of Grandpa was safer than Granny's. But who's the grandpa? Grandpa was Granny's husband, but if you remember, Granny was a widow. What happened between the two? Let's start many years before the curse and the misfortune of the castle of Slenderina. Granny and Grandpa had married happily and had spent their wedding years in Granny's house. Grandpa was a carpenter. He had a passion for technology. Years later, they had a daughter, Angeline, Slenderina's mother. One day, exploring the places near Granny's house, Grandpa discovered a mansion. He opened a locked door with a crowbar, and inside he saw that there were bags of coins. He began to pick them up, but Krasu came out of the darkness and bit him in his chest. Grandpa left the mansion and ran into the woods towards home, but suddenly he fell dead on the path. Granny, seeing that Grandpa was not coming back, went to look for him and found him dead. Granny buried him behind the house. Then time passed. At home, Slender Man came. Slenderina was born, and the curse happened. When Granny learned that Slenderina was dead, she tried in every way to bring her husband to life. It was at this time that he discovered Leave, the future husband of Slenderina. Leave was not yet a vampire. At that time, he was experimenting in his laboratory. Granny asked Leave to bring Grandpa back to life. He accepted, and after recovering Grandpa's body, the experiment began. He poured a potion into Grandpa's mouth, and then ordered Granny to bury the body and wait a few days. Then he left. One day, Granny, she went out into the garden and saw that Grandpa had come out of the ground, then found him behind. He was changed. He didn't speak. He could see, but it wasn't that good, and he was deaf. Granny noticed that Grandpa had not lost his abilities, but it was strange. He didn't answer and he didn't reason, and Granny was afraid. He was just different. After a while, Granny decided to take him to an old house near the river. This house was a nursing home. It was kind of a madhouse, but then Grandpa began to kill all the nurses with a crowbar. One night, with the boat that he had built, Grandpa retraced the sewers to the river and found Leave's house. Grandpa entered the open house, but he wasn't there. Leave was gone. He had already been transformed into a vampire. Grandpa stole Leave's potions and returned home. Coming down from the boat, a potion fell into the water where a small octopus lived. And, you know. On that day, the disgrace of the castle happened, and Granny transformed into a zombie and had gone to get Slenderina's diary and teddy bear. Sometime later, Granny realized that Slenderina's diary was in danger at her home, so she took the diary to Grandpa's house. Both decided to protect him and devised a trap by hiding keys and placing cameras. Now there are two in this house. If you want to enter, you have no chance. They have two ways to kill you. One, they feed you to a giant octopus. And two, they block you in an Iron Maiden.